Good morning. My name is Paweł Adamski. For the last about 30 years, I have been involved in the project of restoration of Apollo butterfly population in the Pieniny National Park. Today, I would like to say some words about metapopulation context of this project. The first question you may ask is why the metapopulation approach is so important in this particular species. In my opinion, there are two reasons. The first one is that Apollo butterfly is a typical metapopulation species. Its habitat in Europe are usually the restricted in area mountain meadow surrounded for unsuitable for this species, rocky areas or forest. But another important problem is that due to climate change, but in the Central Europe, mainly because of serious shift in the land use, the Apollo's habitat became more fragmented and more restricted. Let's look on these two pictures of the same place taken in 1931 and 2022. We may see that area of grasslands for this about uh, 90 years dramatically decreased. The afforested area and also the height of tree increase. So the area suitable for Apollo became, as it was told, smaller, most fragmented. Maybe now is the time for few words about our population. Pieniny Mountain is a narrow limestone mountain range located in the southern Poland. Apollo butterfly in this region has been known since the half of the 19th century. In 1932, the national park had been established, and it was connected with the intensively study of the different aspects of the wildlife. It also includes the Apollo butterfly. So, due to this, we were able to reconstruct the process of uh, vanishing Apollo butterfly on this region. As you may see, in 1991, uh, our species inhabited only one locality near the Tricorone mountain, and the abundance of this small isolated population was estimated by on less than 30 individuals per year. It is in fact the border of extinction. To such dramatic situation in 1992, the program of population restoration have started, and the general goal of this project is to restore the population in the spatial range and abundance similar to the break of 50s and 60s of 20th century. However, our activity have to go in two general directions. The first one is quite obvious. It means that restoration the proper habitat status and structure. The second one was became little later and is less obvious. It's restore the interpopulation mechanism responsible for the metapopulation function. The habitat structure problem, as I thought, is quite obvious. However, I would like to remind some general metapopulation approach. According to this, the area may be divided on two main categories. Habitat path suitable for the given species, and if this habitat patch is occupied, we call it subpopulation. This habitat patch are surrounded by more or less hostile habitats called metapopulation matrix. However, that patchy structure is not the metapopulation. To call it metapopulation, the one key condition have to be met. It is the individual exchange between the subpopulation and the possibility for colonization the empty habitat patch. This movement, this turnover, make the habitat structure of population the functional metapopulation. And to and this intrametapopulation turnover migration, in fact, was for us great challenge. Because how it looks in the Pieniny National Park. The habitat part are the dry mountains adjacent to the limestone scree, and the key factor was the presence of the host plant for the local subspecies, Sedum maximum. And it was quite well known. There was the project of restoration, deforestation, removing bushes like here. It was well known, but more interesting was the project problem of the metapopulation matrix, because in fact it was extremely heterogeneous and basing of some observation, very effort demanding in fact, we find that this metapopulation matrix may be divided on the three basic habitat types, barriers, which are completely unuseful, which was avoided by the Apollo butterfly. In our area, it was old forest with the high tree. Apollo butterfly really avoid such habitat. The dispersal area. There were an area where there are not in Pieniny, there are not stone crop. There is no subpopulation or habitat path, but they gave the possibility to migrate, to move between the habitat paths. And in my opinion, one of the most interesting was migration attractor. We realized that large screes on these meadows, and particularly in this highly fragmented areas like that, the limestone crest attract individuals, and they are very well used migration route. They this limestone crest gave the possibility to cross mm, area uh, area isolated by high forest. It was really migration attract. So based on our analysis of theoretical models and some empirical results, we find that our desirable and possible to achieve result will be a kind of, according to Harrison's classification, mixed type metapopulation and consistent from the three metapopulation centers and some dispersive areas. So it is about the habitat structure. However, less obvious and due to this more challenging problem are the interpopulation mechanisms connected with the metapopulation process. Uh, As we know, the Apollo butterfly is short-lived. Species each year mean one generation. So there is the possibility to for natural selection to work very quickly. And in the condition of isolation, natural selection work against individuals which exhibit uh, dispersal and migrative tendencies. So such long-term selection pressure can affect not only behavior, but also the other tribe individuals. We find that individuals released in the field in the small habitat path do not want to disperse. They set for the few days almost in the same plants and fly in the very short distance. Moreover, it is not only behavior. I analyzed the uh, shape and size of the wing of individual collected in the different decades. I used the wing area and wing shape index. So the results show that for this almost half of century, four-wing area decrease. But what is more interesting for me, the wing shape change, like in this picture. Wings became shorter and relatively wider. Such wing shape is, according to the biomechanic, more suitable for the short distance flying and non-appropriate for the long range. And really we found that may we may restore the kind of archipelago of habitat paths, but without this interpopulation mechanisms promoting migration. There will be no metapopulation and functional population. So there was two possible ways mm, to solve this problem. The first one idea was to conducting selection in captive breeding for the migrative individual. But there was another problem how to recognize the individual, the migrative individual. Maybe this wing shape, maybe some part of thorax. It was so difficult, so risky, so we decide do not undertake this. We decide to introduce specimens from another, more viable population of the same species, Parnassus apollo frankenbergeri. In 1995, uh, after the long formal procedures, the individuals from Halidowski's Skały region were introduced into the breeding program around by the Pieniny National Park. And effect was were really great. In the next year, the ratio of individuals which migrate in the short distance and long distance rapidly increased. Moreover, in 1996, all individuals undertaking migration were those reared in captivity from either the Slovak or the mixed line. So this behavior was revealed, and this introduction of more valuable individuals is effective. Moreover, we observed also in the breeding some differences in this more prone to migrate individuals from the Slovakian line. The offspring behavior is a little bit different. Also, the oviposition behavior. So, in conclusion, the population approach must be taken into account for the conservation of polar butterfly, but not only in the context of maintaining or restoration and appropriated habitat structure, but also in the context of the interpopulation mechanism, behavioral and another responsible for migration, for this functioning of the metapopulation. Thank you for your attention.